First of all, I am proud to be a CDF member. Thank you for coming out. Give yourself a big hand. This is a professional organization. You guys are a business-oriented organization. You are Tupelo's best. You're the youngest salesmen, you're managers, you're business owners, you are the entrepreneurs. You guys know how to interview, and this is a job interview. You guys know how to hire. And you also know when to fire. Guys, public servants are just like any other employee. They work for you. You get to decide who you hire to do the job. And that job is just simply representing you. In other words, who shares your values? Well, that's hard to tell in an election year. It's hard to tell because this is an election year, and in an election year, everybody tries to sound like a conservative. Everybody is going to sound like a Republican. Well, I got a little bit of help for you. If you're going to vote for somebody that sounds like a Republican, just vote for the Republican. Does that make it easy? I am running for House District 16 against Steve Holland, who has been in office for a quarter of a century. I am his first opponent in over 2 decades, and I will be his last. The entire time Mr. Holland has been in office, Mississippi has been at the bottom of every important list. No one can dispute that. We can no longer afford to stay there. No one will disagree with that. Now, Mr. Holland has had a quarter of a century to get things done. A quarter of a century is long enough by any standard, by any common sense standard. He has failed. Now, this room is full of managers. As a manager, what do you do when someone consistently fails at their job? What do you do, Chris?
I sue people for a living.
You sue them or you can fire them. Now, everything that I say today is a matter of public record. Keep that in mind. This election is not about emotion. This election is about facts. This election is about logic. This election is about common sense. You want an employee who gives you results, not somebody who continuously gives you empty rhetoric, not for 25 years especially. What would you do with an employee who constantly mismanages your money and costs you more money than you take in? What would you do? Yeah, that's right. Well, guys, the policies of Mr. Holland are the biggest burden on the taxpayers, on the back of the taxpayers, and on the backs of the hardworking Mississippians. Mr. Holland is addicted to taxation. Since he's been in office, Mr. Holland, the liberal undertaker, has acted to raise your fees and your taxes. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, Mr. Mims, not 6, not 7, not 10, not 20 times, not 40 times, not 50 times, not even 100 times, not even 200, not 300, not 400 times, not 500 times. Not 800 or 900 times. Mr. Holland has acted to raise your fees and your taxes, Mr. Hampton, 1,032 times. Those are not your values. Now, there is nothing that any of you do in your daily life that has not been affected by his tax addiction. From big things, like raising property tax, to even the little tiny things. When's the last time you guys have been to the movie theater? Ever wonder why the tickets are so expensive? House Bill 1492, written by Steve Holland, was designed specifically to add $1 extra of tax onto the cost of a movie ticket. Everything you do has been affected by Mr. Holland's tax addiction. We are taxed enough. Mr. Holland, the liberal undertaker, continues to show no mercy for the hardworking, overburdened, underappreciated taxpayer in Mississippi. And if we don't do something different, we can expect the exact same stuff. That's just a matter of fact. Now, what would you do with an employee that constantly lies to your face and both lies to your customers and to you? You'd fire him. Remember a couple of years ago, it's not going to be hard, 65,000 people were kicked off Medicaid, cast out of the doctor's offices and the hospitals, creating an entirely new class of medical provider. Mr. Holland traveled this entire state, went on national television, even took out a full-page ad in the Daily Journal, and blamed the governor. He blamed the governor. But what he didn't tell you is that Mr. Holland himself is the one who wrote that bill, House Bill 1434, since he's on the phone. That's right, it's the same bill that he blamed the governor for. He even stood on the House of Representatives and told them, the other legislatures, that he would rip off their faces if they did not vote for that bill. That is a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, if we keep doing the same exact thing, we can expect the same results. Now you have a choice. Now, there are two people, actually there's three people, that are wanting you to hire them for that position. Guys, I say, after a quarter of a century, it's simply time to try something new. We certainly can't get any worse. My name is Everett Dutschke, and I am the next representative for House District 16.